Buckle up, bucklers, and strap in tight. This is Adrian Brown with As the Buckle Turns, episode 24, on all your favorite podcast directories: iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, YouTube, Castbox, TuneIn, with limited episodes on Soundcloud and Podbean. Please make sure you follow the show on Twitter, like the page on Facebook. Everything will be linked into the description of this video if you get it watching it on video, and in the links to the podcast wherever you may be listening at. As usual, I appreciate everybody with all your listens, all your clicks, all your downloads. I see it all, and you know what, I'd like to go ahead and just get into business right now. This show is being recorded right here on June 1st. If you all remember carefully, the very first show, the intro for As the Buckle Turns, was recorded on May 28th, 2018. And here we are going strong. And this will be the last episode for what I deem as season 1. Next season, things will sound and maybe be a little bit different because I'm looking at different things for the show. But I'd really like to thank everybody who's been listening since episode 1, who's left me a tweet about it, who's downloaded something, even listened to it. I don't care if you just listen to half an episode. I mean, that's just been wonderful for me to see this whole thing grow. And I hope to try and grow this thing a little bit more in season 2. You know, new graphics are coming, new music's coming. Not before I do the recap show. I haven't got a chance to do that, but I got a little pressing business to take care of in this episode, because this episode here, as the last episode of season 1, this episode is important because most of you probably know, if you haven't watched already, the 25th of May was the Double or Nothing show, the very first big event put on by All Elite Wrestling. You know, the promotion that I talked about in episode 19, Elitism, the show created by the elite of the Bullet Club, you know, Cody, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, Brandi Rhodes, and all those people. And they held their first big show. And for me, it's important to cover this show because this is, quote unquote, when the world changed. You know, nothing's going to be the same after all this. I believe, you know, as a wrestling fan, like I said, I'm going to watch it regardless, because, like I said, when it comes to wrestling, if it's good, I'll watch it. If it's not good, I'll stop watching it. Honestly, I can't say the show is bad yet because they haven't started an episodic show yet. And Double or Nothing, to me, I'm just jump right into this. Double or Nothing, to me, it was a showcase of their talent, you know, introducing people who may not have heard of these people before to the masses, assuming the masses tuned in, and the numbers came in. Looks like a good 100,000 purchases. You know, that's, of course, you know, that's not counting the streaming, in quotes, that people may have done, because everybody does it. You know, maybe not 100% of the wrestling audience, but you know, the people that do still buy it, you know, give them credit for that. And a lot of people got on the price of it, saying it was like $60. That's a bit too much. Lance Storm seems to think that people still congregate in their living rooms, and they'll say, well, invite all your friends over and make it an event of it if it's too expensive for you. Lance times are different, remember? Okay, not a lot of people congregate to watch wrestling anymore. It's not a party thing. Heck, a lot of my older relatives, we congregated for pay-per-views during the Monday Night Wars era because it was cool. Wrestling ain't cool right now. So you're not going to get a lot of people to congregate around the TV to spend some money to watch wrestling. That's why a lot of people will, again, in quotes, choose to stream it. Again, this was a showcase of talent. The show, it had its problems. Of course, its first time out the gate, All In had problems. A lot of the same issues that plagued them in that show plagued them in this one, which I'm not understanding why they didn't work all those kinks out. You know, I'm not going to get into a lot of match quality. I'm not into star ratings. I'm not into move-for-move analysis and things like that in this place. Now, I know a lot of you don't listen to me for that. I know a lot of you who listen to the show, that's not your thing anyway. You're traditionalists, like me. A lot of what you saw on that show, there weren't a whole lot of storylines. Some people think there were. Most of the storyline, anything that had any type of backstory to it, really only and truly involved the elite guys. Like I said, Cody, Page, the Bucks, Omega, Brandi. A lot of the bigger stuff on the show revolved around those people. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Like I said, a billionaire buying a company that's going to have a show starting on TNT. based around one big group of people initially. That's going to probably be the focus of the show. Stop me if you've heard this before. Sounds familiar, right? Because it should. I'll go ahead and I'll just go ahead and break down the card. And I'm not sure how long this is going to be, but who cares? But again, it's wrestling. I'm going to cover it. It was important. If you're not a podcaster and you're talking about this event, you know, you're kind of doing a disservice to yourself and to your audience. So a lot of you probably wondering what I was thinking. So I'm going to just go ahead and get into it. We're going to start with the pre-show. I think it was called the buy-in, keeping with the casino theme and the poker theme of the whole show. It started with what they called the Casino Battle Royale. It was a different take on the Battle Royale, typical rules, over the top, but they threw a little bit of a twist on it, which is actually one of the more unique things they actually did on the show, which I can kind of sort of put over, but not really. But what they did was, if you watched the Being the Elite series, and they went around to several other wrestlers, not every single one of them, and there were each suit of cards, as you know, there are clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades, and keep that order in mind because that's the order in which everybody came out. 5 people drew clubs, 5 people drew diamonds, 5 people drew hearts, 5 people drew spades. Okay, so that's 4 different sets with 5 people. That's 20 competitors, but one person drew the Joker. The Joker got the privilege of coming out last. Okay, that's how they will run this. Typical over-the-top rope rules as always. And okay, the clubs start the match. That's the group with MJF. And MJF was probably the star of this match, even though he didn't win. And I'll get to the winner in a minute. MJF understands how to stay in character 100% of the time. And the guy, like I say, he's a small guy. A lot of people that aren't too high on AEW or anything call him a discount Miz. Honestly, I don't think MJF is even at that level yet. Trust me. But the Miz is light years beyond this guy. MJF has a better physique. He's younger, and he's a little bit too keeping it kayfabe, if you get my drift. Sometimes he can go a bit over the top with it. He, calling the guy with no legs Lieutenant Dan. I cannot remember the guy's name, but shows you how much I'm gonna remember about a guy like that. Okay, his group starts the match. Those are the clubs. The diamonds come out next. I believe that was the group with Shawn Spears in it. Most of you know Shawn Spears as Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10 from NXT, who moved up to the main roster in WWE. And of course, he's the 10th guy that comes out yet again. So I guess that's going to be his gimmick for life, coming out as number 10 in Battle Royals. I guess if you got a way to get yourself noticed or pigeonhole yourself into a gimmick like that, more power to you. You got people to chant the number 10 and make you feel like you were more important than you actually were. I mean, really, what was the Perfect 10, dude? He's on record saying all they had to do was really capitalize on his gimmick was give him the NXT title. Bullcrap. Over who? Nakamura or Samoa Joe? Not gonna happen. He should be happy that they didn't job him out at the end of his NXT career, because most of the time you go out on your back in NXT. He actually got a chance to win. He beat all of Sanity. So I don't understand what he could have been complaining about in NXT. He actually got to go out on a win. But anyway, like I said, he comes out. He's the 10th guy to come out. And honestly, they didn't do Isaiah Cassidy, who's one half of Private Party. They didn't do him too much justice in that, because he was part of that group too. All the other 4 guys in that group were announced, but he got attacked and he didn't get announced. They're already treating their black talent crappy. Give me a break, Justin Roberts. You didn't see him over there? Come on now. Okay, and the Hearts come out after that. That's Billy Gunn's group. And they saw Billy Gunn, they popped immediately. Okay, that lets you know there are still some old school fans in this crowd. Okay, this isn't just a bunch of new age millennial smart marks. They understand tradition. They know who these older guys are, no matter how much Cody wants to crap on the Attitude Era. Okay, go back to the previous episode if you want to understand what I'm talking about here. And the last group was the Spades. They had the Luchasaurus. I believe they had Sonny Kiss and Tommy Dreamer. If there's a big independent or new show or something, is it mandatory that Tommy Dreamer shows up at every show now? Everywhere. He's at Bound for Glory. He's at Lucha Underground and Aztec Warfare. He's here in the Casino Battle Royale. He's in Impact Wrestling reviving ECW for like the umpteenth time. Is it mandatory that Tommy Dreamer stays in? Like I said, I don't have no issue with that, but the guy's everywhere. Honestly, you're still getting a paycheck, Tommy. More power to you, but really, is it necessary that he shows up everywhere? And the Joker, and this made things so transparent when you saw this. The Joker was Adam Page. He's part of their big group. And once he came out as a Joker, you knew he was winning, which he did end up doing. He ended up eliminating MJF. The final four were Luchasaurus, Hangman Page, MJF, and Jimmy Havoc, the hardcore deathmatch legend from the UK. And Page ends up going over by tossing MJF out. But the main reason I think they ended up doing this, now I'm not sure if the match between Page and Pac, formerly Neville in WWE, I don't know if it was canceled because it was a work into the show, or if the stories are legit about Pac wanting, like, I think it's like Dragon Gate didn't want their champion to be losing, I guess, because you gotta understand, the elite guys most of the time are gonna be going over, because you understand, if they're gonna say that wins and losses are gonna count in this promotion, you're gonna put your bigger stars, and the guys who started the show, who started the promotion, are gonna be the bigger stars, right? So Pac was gonna have to lay down, even in a disqualification situation, but Dragon Gate doesn't want their main champion losing. But if I'm Dragon Gate, just take the belt off him if that's the case. I mean, a lot of people wanted to see that match. Heck, I think I wanted to see that match, because out of all the guys in that group, I have the most promise for Page. I'm more impressed with that guy every time I see him. You know, the junior JBL look aside, you know, before he became, you know, he was still Bradshaw. I mean, coming out there with the hangman's noose and the boots and everything, he's got a clothesline finisher and all that stuff. But I think the guy's got potential. He's only 27. He's a young cat. And if anybody's, they're going to make a star in this, it has to be him. And I think they're on their way to it, because, like I said, the stipulation for winning this battle royal was the winner of this match, of this battle royal, will go on to face the winner of the main event between Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega. And those two winners will go on to face each other for the inaugural AEW title, which I'll get into later, of course. But so I knew, because Adam Page said that at the AEW initial press conference when Pac interrupted him, that he wanted to be the first AEW champion. And I thought that would be the best thing possible for them, unless they're going to split the Young Bucks up and make them compete individually, or put another title on Cody. But Cody's the almighty COO. He's in the Triple H position, if y'all know what I mean. And I don't know if Cody wants to come off as the power-hungry guy that's booking himself on top a lot. But we'll see what happens. I'm not 100% sure where that's going to go as far as him as an executive, if they're really going to make this brand new or what. But Page wins the Battle Royal, and like I said, he'll get the first shot at the title. I really wasn't surprised when I saw he was the Joker, so I guess they had to put him in that match somehow. But I really thought that he was going to be champion anyway. So that's why I'm not 100% sure what really happened with that match with Pac, because he came out during the Battle Royal selling an injury from their match that he interrupted out in England. So it's like they gave us the match between the two of them anyway. Pac disqualifies himself there, but he wouldn't want to go for a disqualification here in America at the event. Like I said, I'm not understanding, but I don't know. Maybe the truth will come out eventually. Maybe Pac will sign and still show up eventually anyway after he drops the Dragon Gate title, but the guy hasn't lost in like a year and a half. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Second match on the pre-show, on the buy-in. This is a match between two very young, talented individuals right here. If you're not familiar with Kip Sabian in the UK, I suggest you just Google some of his stuff or type his name in on YouTube or something like that. The guy's young, good-looking kid. He embraces the performance aspect. You know, he's got this super long intro that he would ask people to do for him. They didn't do it here, but I mean, he wasn't booked a lot in a lot of shows, but I see potential in the guy. He's like I say, he's got the look, he's got the ability. I don't. The American audience about to be familiar with him. Like I said, from the little stuff that I've seen of him, I think he has some promise. And he's going up against a guy named Sammy Guevara, who's trained by, I believe he's trained in Reality of Wrestling, sometimes in Houston, Texas. And Sammy has a lot of experience at his age. I mean, this is another guy right here who goes under the radar for how good of a high flyer he is. I mean, we know Ricochet and Will Ospreay get a lot of credit for stuff, but guys like Bandito and Sammy Guevara go under the radar when it comes to the high-flying legacy in this business. They just went out there, they just did the thing. It was your typical little, like, opening like work rate match. They did some crazy spots. It wasn't a super duper dive fest, but it was a good match to open the show, to get you familiar with a couple of young guys you may not be familiar with. And that's going to be the theme of the entire show. And honestly, I applaud them, the executives and everybody, for doing this. They didn't really go over the top with trying to create too many video packages and things like that. There was a few times they did, but they allowed the guys to go out there and in their own little way attempt to get over, attempt to introduce themselves to you without having their hands in it too much. But in the end, Sabian, he gets his knees up after Sammy Guevara. He attempts a 630 splash. He gets his knees up, and then he gets the win and goes over with a move he calls the Deathly Hollows. Give a guy like, not the audience may not be 100% familiar with, because PWG cast and AAA people who watch stuff like that, on Mexico and out on the West Coast, they know who Sammy is. If you're not as familiar with Kip Sabian, him getting a win here kind of made sense to a point. And then, so that's the end of the buy-in. And they give you a little preview of a certain young man coming to the announce table. I say young tongue-in-cheek, but good old JR makes his way to the ring. It's just like, this is the way they have the buy-in go off, and JR making his way to the ring. They've got JR doing the Goldberg entrance, man. He's walking through the hallway all the way out to the announce position. That was pretty cool. JR's a legend. He deserves legendary status. He deserves a Legends entrance. And that was pretty cool in my opinion. But after that though, Cody, Brandy, the Bucks, Omega, they all comes out to open the official show on the stage. Not sure about this, but a friend of mine DMs me. He's like, they kind of killed their pop when they do that. It's the same thing they did at All In. Another point that he pointed out. I'm just like, why do you do this? Okay, we understand you're the people who started this. We understand it was your vision. Don't make this about you already. And you've already done it at both shows. So please, if you're saying you're offering something different, by all means, please do something different. Putting the figureheads out there constantly saying, hey, we're happy, y'all happy to be here. Yeah, this is all about you. Make some noise. I mean, you might as well be a bunch of rappers out there sticking the mic out into the crowd trying to get cheap pops. On to the official show. This is SoCal Uncensored, Scorpio Skye, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels versus the Strong Hearts from Oriental Wrestling Entertainment, OWE, who are Shima, most of y'all know him from Dragon Gate fame, T-Hawk, and El Lindemann, who's a very young kid, but built like a tank of a kid. He's only like 5'3", but he's kind of a tank of a man. This match here, I mean, SCU ends up going over at the end. I didn't really understand this match, but again, this was just a showcase, the whole show, and this was one of the things. It's like they also, JR and the guys also announced the fact that they're gonna try to hold true to the 5-second tag rule and things like that in this promotion. But at the same time, there was a lot of non-tagging in and out going on, and lots of count breakups and just random spots of the guys just running in doing their own thing. That was the story of a lot of the matches tonight too. You might hear me repeat that a few times in this broadcast. This didn't really do much for me. I'm not sure if this was the way you wanted to open it. I guess you didn't want all the newer talent and the more unknown talent to go over in this show. The Strong Hearts got to showcase their style. The Oriental, the Far East style that they have, it's a little bit different. It's not necessarily New Japan strong style-esque. There's a little bit more of a fluidity to how they do things. It's not real stiff. It's not real. New Japan has a little bit more over-the-top character-based, combined with their hard-hitting style. This OWE stuff, I don't know, it seems a little bit more fluid. It seems a bit more. The pace they were moving at was a little bit faster, but it made sense at certain times, if that makes any sense. But like I said, SCU goes over. I don't really have much else to say about that match. But the OWE guys look good. I got a lot of faith in them, and if you're going to invest in any of those guys, of course you're going to invest in T-Hawk in America. That guy right there, he's going to attract a lot of attention from a lot of important people at a lot of other promotions here. So if I'm AEW, I'm locking that guy up, especially even if OWE can't hold on to him. Next up was a women's triple threat. This match was announced between Kylie Ray, their first ever women's signing, Dr. Britt Baker, and the transgender woman that they ended up signing in Nyla Rose. A very unique trio of women to actually have a match between. But there was a surprise before the match. Brandy comes out there, and this was another Road to Double or Nothing thing where she told all three of those ladies that, I have faith that you will all win. And she was like, I just want this match to be awesome. And she says the same thing when she comes back out at the opening of this match. She takes off her jacket, and she's got her ring gear on. She ain't got a suit on. She ain't got a pantsuit on or one of her little, one of those little outfits you see her wearing when they're doing executive things. She's wearing her ring gear. So she's out there to fight. But she says she wants the match to be awesome, and play on words, Awesome Kong comes out of the tunnel. And it's interesting, though, that tunnel is very, old school TNA-like. It looked extremely familiar. It's kind of brought back flashbacks of old NWA TNA and things like that. So it ends up being a fatal four-way between the four women. Kong's dominating the match, but you can also tell Kia Stevens hasn't been in the ring for a good little while. So she wasn't moving like she used to, in those classes with Gail Kim and things like that. But honestly, though, they let Kylie and Britt Baker do most of the work in this match. So the two beasts kind of sort of take each other out at the end when Nyla throws Kong into the steps. Then Britt goes over at the very end. She goes over with a super kick to the Ushigoroshi. Similar move to the move her boyfriend Adam Cole uses. But honestly, I have no issue with that. That's a smart move because Britt's she's their female signee. She's their number one pick. She's their number one draft pick. If she didn't go over in that match, I'd have been shocked. For her to pin Kylie was a little bit of shock, but I'm like, if you're going to bring Awesome Kong in, maybe let her take the fall to give it a little bit more credibility. I'm familiar with Kylie Ray by watching her on reality or wrestling and other things like, in Shimmer and things like that. But, Kong's the bigger name here. Nyla Rose is exactly known completely. I believe she's wrestled in WoW. If you're going to have Britt go over, have her go over the bigger star in the match. Having Britt go over, I really have no issue with that at all. Gotta get some shine on your stars. The people you signed first, the people who spoke at those press conferences, initially, anything. Britt's that girl. She's their girl. I think they're gonna run with her. They haven't even announced that they're gonna have a women's title. They've announced that their women are gonna be paid equal and things like that, but I don't know. They really haven't announced any actual plans. Women's tag titles, secondary titles, anything like that. All we know now is that they're gonna be on the show. Period. If you're going to debut a company, everything kind of needs to be in place. I think announcing a title or something like that for the women would have been really important. Maybe not this night, but at least have something for me. That still has shocked me. But I'm just like, you've got all this money invested and things like that. Come on. Give me something more. Next match, Best Friends versus Jack Evans and Angelico, two former cast members of Lucha Underground. Angelico, actually both of them, they were former trios champions with different groups, but these two, they're a tag team on the independent circuit for a long time. The odd thing about this match, both teams kind of have on the same colors, and honestly, I'm a fan of Angelico. The guy's 6'7", athletic, freak of nature, and he does like these weird, crazy stunts, and it's awesome seeing a guy that length and size doing the stuff he does. It actually makes it look better. And everybody knows Jack Evans, he's the godfather of a lot of the high-flying stuff you see today. He don't get a lot of credit. Things like double moonsaults that a guy like Ricochet might do. Jack Evans is the guy that's invented most of this stuff, and a lot of people don't even know that. So maybe, just maybe, if they're going to have this weekly TV deal, I would like to see Jack Evans get a little bit more shine out there. I really hope he does. I don't really have much to say about this match. It was just typical tag team, independent match 101 stuff. Lots of dives, lots of breaking up pin attempts, lots of false finishes. The Best Friends are known for hugging. Good move by Angelico and Jack breaking up the hug attempts and things like that. Lots and lots of run-ins. No tags. Again, same thing with the opening match between SCU and the Strong Hearts. But honestly, I didn't see a lot of chemistry in this match. It kind of looked like the match was thrown together, and I know they had at least almost a month to work on this together or something like that. My stream died. I did not know. I had to get somebody to tell me that the Best Friends went over in this. I don't know the finish. If I can find a replay somewhere, maybe I'll see what the finish was. But honestly, the match really didn't appeal to me too much. And like I said, I'm a fan of Jack and Angelico. I really am. And a lot of people forget that Trent Beretta, one half of the best friends, he's one of the few guys on this current roster who actually had WWE experience. He was former FCW tag team champion. A lot of y'all don't know. For those who don't know, that was NXT before it was called NXT, Florida Championship Wrestling. So he was a champion down there. He's one of the few people on the roster who's had experience there. So the best friends, Chucky T and Trent Beretta, go over. Say, I'll find a finish eventually somewhere. Next match here. This match I super didn't care about too much. Yes, this is the 6-woman tag match. Don't ask me to name all the women. The only woman I know in the match is Hikaru Shida because of her character work and her cosplay work. You know, as far as a wrestler. Again, women's wrestling chance. Another match, supposed to be a tag match, but a whole lot of run-ins and doing things with no tags and things like that. Shida pins Aja Kong to win the match. Honestly, I really didn't care too much about this initially in the first place, and I'm sorry I can't comment on that too much, but it's women's Japanese wrestling. If you've ever watched that, you watch Joshi or Stardom or anything like that, you understand what they do over there with things like that. It's very cartoony, if I can say this, very anime-like, the way they wrestle. I mean, there's a lot of powering up, and there's a lot of, like, don't get me wrong, it's fun at times, but sometimes it really doesn't make much sense. And if you're an American wrestling fan, if you watched the way we do things over here, even when it comes to things like women wrestling outside of, I don't know, the bra and panty stuff, our women wrestle totally different to the way they do. And if that floats your boat, more power to you, but I can't get into full-on Japanese women wrestling until they actually come here and wrestle with our women and the styles mix. Then we get to see a little bit something different. But when the women are constantly wrestling the exact same way all the time, I don't know, it doesn't appeal to me. That's why I couldn't get into Kana too much, or even Kairi Sane too much in Japan, until they came here and they started mingling and wrestling with our women, and wrestling against women who may have been bigger and thicker and more athletic and have a different style. So if you're able to merge that stuff with our stuff, then you see the value of the Japanese women wrestling. Them constantly wrestling each other, yeah, Meltzer will put that stuff over. Okay. His readers and things like that, they'll put that stuff over. More power to them. But as far as on my end, people like me, people who think like me, not so much. Alright, we're getting into the nitty gritty here. Next matchup, Rhodes versus Rhodes, Cody versus Dustin. Y'all know how this goes. I'm gonna just go ahead and get right into the start of the whole match. Video package was good. We've heard what they've said about each other on their little vignettes and on their Roads to Double or Nothing videos and things like that. I'm going to link all that stuff into the descriptions here. Don't worry about it. The biggest troll job ever is Cody. I swear to you. Again, y'all understand in my last episode when I was talking about the generational episode, and I broke down that promo of what he was doing. And I don't know, it's just like little by little. I've been tweeting it, I've been posting it in every form I've been able to see. Cody and Phil are constantly telling everybody the real enemy here is not Vince McMahon. In the big scheme of things, the biggest enemy here is Triple H. Because Cody comes out there, there's a throne behind him, and you see him, you know how the Triple H logo looks with that little, I guess, Knights Templar cross or wherever the heck it is and everything. There's a throne with skulls on it and everything, with the Knights Templar cross and everything. And the cameraman screwed up the entrance again. Lots of technical issues tonight, folks. Goodness. The cameraman screwed up he was looking the complete opposite way that he was supposed to, and it totally messed it up, but whatever. So they walk to the ring. Well, Brandy's out there with him too. Decent little shot of them walking with the throne behind him. One of the photos that got taken was pretty epic. But Brandy goes under this ring, pulls out a sledgehammer. Again, so you know that's what that's supposed to represent. So they walk back up to the throne, smash the throne with the sledgehammer, and some cheesy little smoke comes out of it. Honestly, they should have just had it crumble to pieces. But they didn't go that far, I guess. I mean, goodness, you're backed by a billionaire. Spare no expense with this, dude. I mean, cheap smoke, one hit with a sledgehammer, I mean, smash that thing to pieces. You know, have it some gimmick rocks or something on that thing. You know, keep smashing it to pieces over and over and over again. Cody trolling Triple H as always. That seems to be his gig now. That seems to be what he wants to do, and, I'm going to just let him. Go for it, Cody. Do what you got to do. And Dustin comes out, typical Dustin interest. Nothing fancy. Not understanding what the theme music's supposed to be or whatnot. Theme music sounded kind of low on my stream. I have no idea what the heck happened, but all night long the theme music just sounded a little bit low. Again, same thing that happened at All In. Again, you got to work these things out, folks. But Chance said, Dustin, you still got it. But I'm like, folks, he never lost it. Dustin's been doing this stuff forever. Y'all just didn't appreciate it because he was wearing gold and black. Okay, maybe if he wasn't, would y'all appreciate a little bit more if he was still calling himself Dustin Rhodes in the WWE? Dustin's always been capable of what you saw that night. Always been capable. Completely. Cody's got his Attitude Killer belt on and everything. I guess he stole that from Ryback. Ryback had the pre-show Steeler belts and things like that in his last little run at WWE. I don't know. Maybe that'll become a thing too. Cody pulling the pad off to stop the shattered dreams and everything. So if anything, Dustin would have shattered his ankle if he kicked him and everything. Brandy getting tossed after she spears Dustin. It's one of the few times you actually see Brandy Rhodes get tossed. This is her company. If you think about it, Earl Hebner, the great Earl Hebner, is tossing Brandy Rhodes out, and DDP comes out, gets himself a little pop by dragging Brandy back there because she wouldn't leave. Again, we're killing the Attitude Era. We're killing the Monday Night Wars era, right? A lot of old school guys here. Even DDP here. He's one of the guys who defined that era. He's one of the guys who's defined Cody, always being shown training him and putting him over and things like that. I'm just like, for a guy that hates that era is around this show and around this business of AEW quite a lot. There's a lot of influence there. Honestly, if you say you're trying to kill it, I don't want anything to do with any of the people from it. Cody probably doesn't see that way, but I would see it that way. If you're going to keep kayfabe here, you're going to keep things continuous. You keep continuity here as far as the story you're trying to tell, with the fact that you're not necessarily the biggest fan of that era. I don't know. You got a lot of people around you from that era. And again, for not being such a fan of that era, again, you had no problem busting your big brother open and blood going everywhere. Now, I guess, a little bit of blood makes things better. I said that before about Becky getting busted open by Nia Jax and how it actually helped her out as a character. And it actually helped her get over more. Don't get me wrong, but if you're trying to do something completely different here, I guess because you're not in no own way competing with the WWE because they don't allow blood, you decide to allow blood. Maybe that'll help people put you over a little bit more. I'm not seeing it. I don't know. Like I said, it was a good match between both of these guys. It's a good match. But I'll be honest with you, it was no different than any other match I'd seen between them. Period. Basically what I saw was Goldust versus Stardust with their real names and some blood allowed. Period. That's all I really saw. Okay, like I said, I can appreciate them maybe going a little bit further with certain things than they were allowed to before, but again, it's Cody versus Dustin. It's Goldust versus Stardust. I didn't see anything else different. And Cody goes over with his own crossroads. Dustin hit crossroads too, and he had his own. Dustin tried a Spanish fly in this match, but that mess was hilarious. I have no idea why he tried it, but weird thing about it is Dustin is still, even at his age, is still very capable of going out there and working with any and everybody. So I'm not sure exactly how far this is going to go with him in this company. If this was going to be a one-off, well, I know it's not going to be a one-off. At the very end of the match, after Cody goes over, he starts walking up the ramp. They start clapping for Dustin. So it's kind of like the audience are kind of feeling it's going to be one of those little send-off moments. But Cody jumps back in the ring. Dustin jumps back into the corner like something's about to happen. Cody's like, nah, you don't get to retire here. I'm not done with you, whatever heck he was saying. And this whole moment harkens back to, I don't know, some wars that were going on about 94, 95-ish in WCW when Dusty comes out and asks Dustin for his help at the next coming event or Fight for the Fallen or something like that. They left the contract open. He was like, it would be Cody and a partner his choosing against the Young Bucks, who he says he believes are the best tag team on the planet or whatever. He's like, I don't need a partner. I need my big brother. They embrace and everything like that. So, and I guess, like I said, same thing Dusty said. He's like, I need my son to help me. So Cody tries so hard to appropriate his father, even with the dream tattoo on his chest and everything. He dyeing his hair blonde, all that stuff. I guess he's been mad that he didn't get blonde hair and his brother did. I don't know. But he's tried so hard to appropriate his father in so many things. I don't get it sometimes. Like we understand. You don't think daddy loved you enough. But that can't be the whole basis of your character. That can't be what you're telling Vince McMahon. Like, if you would let me do the prodigal son stuff, I would have gotten over more. Even Dallas Page was saying in the aftermath of this, Cody's never saw himself as a lower guy. He's never saw himself as a mid-card guy. He's always seen himself as the guy. A lot of us see ourselves as the top guy or girl or team or anything like that. But you gotta understand, eventually it's up to you to make it happen. Cody, like I've said before, Cody did a great job of getting himself in good positions with what he was given. But he can attest that to the fact he is born into the family that he was born into. He saw how it was done. Even his brother made a lot of crappy stuff work before he found the gold dust gimmick. I don't think Cody understands that sometimes. I'm just like, you got to keep going till you find what works for you. But to go all the way out your way, just like Jeff Jarrett did, to circumvent everything by starting your own company, you think that's gonna work? I don't know. We'll see. But like I do have a gripe with this though. But if this whole thing was about killing the Attitude Era, again, you're still keeping it around by tagging with your brother after you done busted him up, left the Attitude Era in a heaping pile of blood, but then you embrace it anyway after the fact. Your goal was to kill this. Shoot that thing in the head and put it out to pasture, remember? But then in the very end, you know what? I need you. And in your own little way, you're saying, in the end, I still need the Attitude Era. Don't you? Next spot. The great Bret Hart comes out to present the AEW title. And he actually brings out Adam Page to the ring because since he won the Battle Royale, he wants him in the ring so he can actually see it for himself. There's actually pyro and everything in this whole thing when Page comes out. MJF comes out there, interrupts the whole thing, doing what he does. Like I said, the guy stays in character 100% all the time. He's always ragging on the fans, always ragging on his opponents. And for some reason, Jungle Boy and Jimmy Havoc come out there to beat the crap out of him along with Page. While all that's going on, Bret Hart actually unceremoniously just pulls the belt out and holds it in the air. Kind of anticlimactic with all that, but Page is seen standing on the ramp staring at it like, holy crap, that's going to be my belt. But I ain't gonna lie to you, it's a beautiful belt. And in the Road to Double or Nothing 9, I think it was, Brandy said their inspiration for it was the Mid-South North American Championship, which is a huge title. Google the pictures of Magnum TA holding it. You see, that's an enormous belt. And this is pretty big, but it's kind of a cross between the Mid-South North American title size and the ornate design of the New Japan IWGP title, if that makes any sense. When you see it, it kind of harkens into a way, kind of a crossover of that level, it makes for a pretty good looking title. I am not going to lie to you. Next match, Lucha Brothers, Young Bucks for the AAA Tag Team Championships. Tag Team Wrestling chants. I just don't get it though. This era of fans, they love to chant things. They love to be a part of the show. They just will not let the show breathe. I don't understand it. I really wish I could get it. I just don't get it. The whole story of the match, because the Young Bucks have only wrestled twice this year, the Lucha Brothers have wrestled numerous times, be it singles championship matches between the two of them or tag matches with each other. They've wrestled plenty of times. The Young Bucks taking care of all this executive stuff. It's documented they haven't wrestled but so many times. So the story they tried to play up in this match is the fact that they're trying to shake off the rust. They kept messing up spots and tag moves and things like that. But I'll be honest with you, the Bucks go over in the end with the Meltzer driver. The team that was actually the guy that's actually the most over in that match is Pentagon. Who in the world doesn't love chanting Cero Miedo? That guy there, I think that's the guy. I mean, honestly, that guy there, if he were actually to get on big time TV, he's probably one of the few non-English speaking, majority English speaking wrestlers from Mexico. I think he can get over just fine on American television. Lucha Underground kind of proved that. That guy there, his look, the way he wrestles, his catchphrase, everybody, even if it's not in English, everybody loves to chant it. I mean, he has that ability. That guy there, I have the utmost faith in him. Like, he's the older of the two brothers. I think he's 34, but at the same time, that's young for this business. It really is. You're not really old in this business till you get to like 55 plus. If I would have any confidence in a Hispanic wrestler getting over mainstream these days, it'd be that guy. But the Bucks did go over in this one. The match seemed to run long to me. I guess, again, like I said, with the Bucks trying to shake off the rust in that story. But when they turned it up, they really turned it up. They made it seem like they hadn't missed a beat. And, I mean, really good. I mean, but again, it was a typical, I don't know, false finish fest, if you know what I mean. That's a lot of what goes on in this era right now. Main event time, Jericho versus Omega. Jericho has a little gimmicks entrance. You see Lionheart, you see the list of Jericho, and then you finally see him come out. It's not him, it's just some guy dressed up as all of his phases throughout the years and everything. It's pretty cool. Kenny's entrance was simple. Kenny never really goes out unless it's at Wrestle Kingdom or something like that, when he's pulling out guns and things like that. But it's Kenny Omega. That crowd knows who he is. He didn't need to do anything too over the top. But Jericho's a performer. You know he's going to put on a show when it comes to, doing things like that. It started out with a chop fest, and Kenny ended up with a broken nose. I can't remember what spot it happened at. I don't know if it was completely broken or it was just, it got slightly busted or something like that. JR is called a backdrop. He said a backdrop suplex. Oh my God. I'll get to JR at the end, but anyway, there was a botch on the one wing angel counter, so Jericho had to call it on the fly again. But they got it right the second time, and Jericho goes over with this little spinning back elbow. He calls it Judas effect. I don't know, it kind of came out of nowhere. It was kind of a weak finish, if you ask me. And so it'll be Jericho versus Adam Hangman Page for the inaugural AEW Championship, I believe at the All Out event in Chicago, which they announced on the show. I can't remember exactly what spot they announced it at, but that's where it's going to be if I'm not mistaken. And one thing that went on the radar here, I actually pointed out on a forum that I'm on. Jericho had some very Chris Benoit-esque tights on. If you go back and look at some of Benoit's old ring gear, those tights look very reminiscent. They were all black. I saw the slashes in them. I kind of, it's been a while since Jericho wrestled in the longer tights on a show, but I believe he's been doing that in New Japan. But I don't know. I found that a little bit weird. But prediction for that title match anyway. If they're smart, Page goes over, because like I said, they need to make a star, and you might as well go ahead and make it one of your guys. I mean, Jericho's gonna be still probably wrestling with New Japan and things like that, so he's still got other things to do. And but then at the very end, Jon Moxley comes out there. Most of y'all remember Jon Moxley is Dean Ambrose from the WWE. His contract was up. That was not a work. He did leave, and he did sign with AEW, just like we all thought he would. I will be doing an episode where I comment on his Talk is Jericho podcast. That show was recorded before Double or Nothing, folks. It was not recorded afterwards. It was recorded before it. Chris says it on the show. A lot of people who don't pay attention to things, they seem to believe that he comes out there and attacks the guy. He's going to interview him on the show the next night. I don't think so. But yeah, he attacks Jericho, attacks the ref, attacks Kenny Omega. And ironically, he gives him an attitude. He gives Kenny Omega an attitude adjustment off the top of poker chips, and that's how the show ends. How funny is that? But yeah, that's the whole show. That was the showcase of the Elite. I mean, honestly, the show wasn't horrible, but it just didn't wow me. I didn't see anything that made me stand up and say, heck yeah, this is the future. Heck yeah, the WWE's over. The WWE's about to be out of business. If anything, all they're going to do is just siphon off some of the same people. And there's no way they're going to, a lot of people that were going to that show, to the WWE shows now, are going to go to both shows. Because if you go to one to complain about the other, it's just not going to make any sense to me. WWE's not going anywhere. And if anything, people that stop going to the shows because of this era of fans, I think this will be a blessing in disguise. Because a lot of people that stop going to the WWE shows will probably come back now. Because that group of fans now has a place where they can go and be happy. And honestly, that's something that's probably going to go under the radar that not a lot of people are going to talk about on shows like this. But I will. You know I will. Honestly, I will be, like I said, I'm not happy 100% with the way the WWE is doing business and things like that. I understand a lot of things Moxley was talking about on the podcast with Jericho. I 100% do. I empathize with the guy a lot with that, but it's still the biggest company. It's still going to be able to pay you the most money. It's still going to give you the biggest amount of exposure. But I'm not going to sit there and say everything they're doing is right, but I'm not going to say everything they do is garbage. Okay? You have to be honest about everything. When they do something right, give them credit. When they do something wrong, by all means, bury them, but don't make that your whole entire narrative. There have been plenty of things they've done right. Vince, yeah, I understand people's gripe with him, but at the same time, you understand, he's been more right than he has been wrong. And because these same people that complain the most keep giving him their money, they don't have a reason to complain. But now you have a place to go. And if you still continue to complain about the product of WWE when you have the ability to go to AEW and be happy, then you're nothing but a sadist. Okay, then you really are proving that you're a glutton for punishment, that it's always going to be about complaining. It's never ever really been about you being a fan. It's never really been about you having fun. It's always been about your brand of being a complainer online or being a complainer behind mics like this. Now you have a place to go to be happy. Because I see plenty on this show and plenty of talent on this show that will keep you happy. Okay? There's no 6'5", 265-pound guy that's going to be on top here that does power slams and moves and only cares about being entertaining. There's plenty of work rate stuff. Hey, you even got some hardcore deathmatch guys who are probably going to kick the crap out of each other with staples, for no apparent reason. Okay? You got a lot of small work rate guys who are going to flip, flop, and fly for you in AEW. Completely. You're going to get what you want here. You're going to get lots of tag matches with lots of false finishes and double super kicks. You're going to get that. You're going to get lots of random Japanese wrestling. This is what Kenny Omega meant when he said he wants it to be a variety show. Okay? Not the variety show in the sense of entertaining characters. What Kenny Omega meant was, this is what he wanted. He wanted a variety of styles. He wanted a variety of wrestling. And that's exactly what you're going to get here. Now, whether or not you're going to keep every person's interest with every single style is remaining to be seen. But if you don't work out a lot of these kinks that I saw really quickly, which I'm not understanding why you still have it, and honestly, JR, the game's passed you by, bro. I can't say it. I hate to say it, but I can't say it. The game's passed you by. I mean, Excalibur was, he's the star of that commentary team, man. He's the guy. JR, you're there for name only. Again, Cody, you hate the Attitude Era, but as you said, it's Jim F. and Ross. Well, Jim F. and Ross, it's not Jim F. and Ross anymore. Period. His voice is still there. I get it. His passion to a point is still there, but calling a match now. And here's the thing. Again, I was always afraid for Jim Ross for trying to call wrestling in this era. He seems so out of place. He seems completely out of place in calling this action, in calling these styles, and attempting his best to make up a story or having to continuously look up facts and have Excalibur step all over him trying to name moves, which 10% of the time he's probably calling the wrong one too, because they're trying to, like, you don't call crossover dribbles how many dribbles a guy does on every single ISO play in basketball. Okay, you don't say, I mean, in football, you don't count. You don't say how many times they faked in a hard count or something like that trying to get somebody. It's like, but only in wrestling these days do fans continue to put over announcers who know the names of moves, who yell and scream at at a move they probably seen 6 times that night. And sometimes I even think these guys be making up names to moves. I don't even think these really be the names sometimes. It probably sounds cool to them, and people buy into it, and you get award for something like that at the end of the year on the Wrestling Observer Newsletter awards that are voted on by the fans. Scream Mamma Mia a few times and everybody puts you over, simply because you have, quote, genuine passion for the business. But if you ain't telling me a story, if you're not trying to entertain me, like I said, the announcers are just as much a part of entertaining me and anybody else on shows like this than anything. The announcers are supposed to tell you why you should be invested in this match. I don't care if you're doing a tiger feint kick. I don't care if it's a dragon suplex or a tiger suplex. I don't care. Tell me why the guy is doing that. Okay, what's the emotion of the match? Why would he do such things? Okay, what led me to this point? And JR don't give me that anymore. Excalibur doesn't give that to me. JR can't do that in this era. Excalibur probably needs to be the guy out there probably doing it by himself. I don't even remember the other name of the other J Brone that was on commentary. Mackie or something like that. Screw it, that's what we're going to call him. That guy there, he just seemed like a deer in headlights the whole time, especially on camera. Some people don't belong on TV. Even Excalibur probably looks like he belongs there, even with that goofy little mask on. It at least gives him some sort of character. But I don't know, JR, I don't know, man. You might want to rethink this and you have a lot to offer as far as knowledge goes. Behind the curtain might be where you need to be. And if I'm them, I'm throwing a lot of money at Morrow and getting him out of NXT. Because honestly, if he wants to call moves, this is the place where he needs to go. Yeah, and just a lot of miscues, a lot of awkward camera angles and things like that. Like I don't want to be negative, like I said, but you got to call it like you see it. You got to call it like you see it. And here's the thing. A lot of people will call somebody like me a WWE shill if I'm trying to be positive about something. How's that any different if you're not pointing out the negative things you may have seen on this Double or Nothing show? Again, that's hypocrisy again. But anyway, when it debuts on TNT, am I still going to watch it? Yeah. As I said in episode 19, I'm going to watch it. I really am. And I hope it does good. And honestly, I hope these people finally get what they want. I hope they're finally going to be happy. Period. Because honestly, you guys need to get happy. I hate to see people hate watching something. That is the saddest existence possible. And honestly, like I said, I hope that people who left WWE shows because of the obnoxious fans can now finally come back, because those people will finally be gone. Because now if you show up simply to troll WWE with your AEW shirts on, and that's another thing. I know it's dark in there and whatnot. I don't think I saw a single WWE based shirt. There may have been an NWO shirt in the crowd here and there, but for the most part, the camera angles I never saw a single WWE shirt. Not on the hard camera, not at ringside, anything like that. But for some reason, these people love to show up at WWE shows wearing other people's merchandise. So again, it lets you know these people are doing it on purpose. Which again, tells me the truth. They're nothing but a bunch of assholes. Excuse my language, but that's the only word I can use. So you decide to be respectful at the AEW show by not showing up with a Austin 316 shirt or a DX shirt. Or, heck, I'm pretty sure somebody like me, I would love to just show up there with a "This Is My Yard" shirt. Because that's something I would do, just to pay these people back. But you know what? That lets you know, a lot of these people, they're into what the show is actually about. That's respectful. Okay? You know good and well, I mean, the Usos aren't there. So why wear a Day One-ish shirt to Double or Nothing? Just because it's a wrestling show. Why can't you show that same amount of respect to the WWE and not get mad when they want you to remove those shirts at their show? And Matt Jackson, you can say all you want to that they might not, or Tony Khan, I think it was, I can't remember. You can say it all you want to that you might not take those shirts away. But here's the thing. Your fans would not do that to your show. The WWE fans aren't going to come to your show. And even if they did show up just to spite you, just to spite your fans, they would have every single right to, because your fans would do the same thing to them. And I would have no issue with those people doing that, because honestly, the AEW type fans, they don't respect the companies that they're going to. They respect your company because it's feeding their beast. But I guess the war is on. I'm not sure how many casualties are going to be this time. Consider the audience will probably just be split even. It's probably going to be the same amount as it was when the wars first started, because honestly, you're competing over a very small audience. And if you're going to be on the same night, you'll probably get the same amount of split. In WWE, I can remember a lot of people saying the fact that they opened up the Monday Night Raw after that the way they did. It's just, they didn't acknowledge the fact that a show like that came that Saturday. I'm like, it wasn't much different. There's a show I listen to on YouTube, and I'll link it in the description again, as always. There's a show by 3 young black women. They call it Suplexes and Shea Butter. It's just a fun show that they do on YouTube, and they go on Hangouts and they just talk about shows. The main host of the show, Tanya, I believe her name is, she said the most profound thing, and I've been tweeting it and saying it over and over again myself since she said it. Just like All In, Double or Nothing was basically a WWE show without WWE branding. And I 100% agree with that. Nothing was innovative about this. It was just your typical American sports entertainment show. They had nothing innovative. They had nothing that made you stand up and say, wow, this is totally 100% different. But everybody keeps replying to me saying, well, there were a lot of spots you wouldn't see and wrestlers you wouldn't see, and tag team wrestling was on display and the women got to do things. And I'm like, but okay, I can still get that in the WWE. I can still get that in Impact. You want to talk about something different? Lucha Underground was different. An overarching storyline about a supernatural ancient war where the entire roster was involved in a storyline and cinematic vignettes and things like that. Come on, man. That's different. Even New Japan is different. 100%. Even New Japan is different. The presentation of the show and everything. Even sometimes Ring of Honor presents their show slightly different. But AEW, because it's loaded with a bunch of people who understand American sports entertainment, because they're trying so hard to compete with the WWE, they understood. They know what the formula is, and they know what works. This is just another company. It's just the WWE, not the WWE. And they can admit it, or they won't. Big Brother didn't go over at this show. But if you continue to try and compete, you've seen what happens when Vince McMahon gets backed into a corner. He's still smart enough to understand when he knows he needs to change. And if you start affecting his bottom line, maybe. But for now, you know who Big Brother is. And he didn't go over that night. But in the end, Big Brother will always win. Some housekeeping things before I get out of here. Like I said, this will be the final episode, basically, of what I'll deem as Season 1. Season 2 will sound a little bit different. I'm looking into getting some, I won't say co-hosts, but some guests on. Maybe try to look into doing some interviews. I'm going to keep this wrestling based, but I'm probably going to start some other shows as well. I'm trying to make an overall network out of this. Probably start talking about MMA. Probably doing some, so like I said, I've graduated broadcasting school. I'm trying to get into doing commercial reads and things like that. So you may hear me promoting some products and things like that. So I'm looking for some partnerships. Sound and everything of this might change. I'm thinking about coming up with some more shows. Like I might or might not do more reviews. I got a lot of good feedback on the Generational episode, doing the Cody promo. And I've been thinking about doing a separate show about famous promos, maybe breaking them down in a similar fashion. That's something not a lot of podcasters do, so I think that might be something that I could probably add to my repertoire. We'll see what happens with that. And yeah, again, thank you guys for sticking with me through all this. If you've been here since episode 1, like I said, I've seen the numbers go up. I don't see a lot of tweets and mentionings or anything like that, but I see the numbers. I've got, it's in the thousands now, listens and downloads. So it's been humbling. Like I said, I will tell you all how humbling that is. I'm never going to get too big for any of this. Okay? I will always appreciate all you guys for everything you've done. And I'm going to try and make this keep getting better because, like I said, I've enjoyed doing it. So I'm going to keep doing it. That's the buckle turns for this week, everybody. And that's also the end of Season 1. I'll be glad to see you guys here on Season 2, so please keep listening and be prepared for the changes coming. So until then, this is Adrian. That's Buckle Turns. See you next time.